What about it, you two? All right, I got thinking about something, especially after this guy came into one of my videos about Colin Flaherty. He was lashing out at me at first, and now it turns out we're friends. And he was saying how after I pointed out where his anger was taking over, then he mentioned that his wife had mentioned the same thing, that Colin Flaherty was having this agitation effect on him and causing him to feel anger and frustration and even hate. Okay, and so it got me thinking how dangerous any of these agitators are. I even screw up sometimes, but I catch myself, and I have a lot of good friends out there. I think Maddie helped me out last time with Nick Fuentes, get me off of his crap quicker than maybe it would have happened otherwise. But it's true that there's personalities that come along, and you may be attracted to them from time to time. It could be Alex Jones, it could be Mark Dice, it could be who's Stewart from the alt-right. It could be Handsome Truth. It could be Patrick Little. It could be anyone. But you've got to protect yourself from anyone that's going to agitate you and get you riled up, to get you fired up, to get you a feeling of burning inside of anger and especially hatred towards anyone else. If there's a third party that's agitating you up to hate this other person, distance yourself from that agitation. Don't become part of it. Don't jump on the bandwagon with Colin Flaherty or any of these other characters. If you listen, even Alex Jones, I've had enough. Where's the people who are gonna stand up and all this energy, right? And I think that the social controllers have this all figured out from way back. So you're being gaslighted. You're being unwittingly forced into a camp. You're unwittingly being prompted or influenced to take on a victim identity, and of whatever it is. Now whatever identity is out there for you to choose or fall into, it's a victim identity. Every identity is a victim identity. If you identify as homosexual, then you're a victim. If you identify as a minority of any sort, flavor, then you're a victim. Oy vey, if you decide you reject Jesus, well, that makes you a victim. Okay, there's very little, and even if you identify as a white Christian, which, just drop the white is what I'm suggesting, but it's tempting for everyone to fall into the group that you're expected to fall into. So you have the Ramsey Pauls, right? You have the people who are going to fall into this color-coded crayon box false identity that erases all of everyone's European background and history and just calls anything with light skin white, unless you're, of course, from the tribe. Let's not get that confused, okay? Although there's no DNA evidence to support that there's a viable group there. But if that's what they demand, that they reject Jesus and they want to be a group and they want to be that, okay, whatever. But I'm saying that it's easy to fall into your expected group. Whether you're black or whatever, it's easy to fall into that expected group. And then there's extremist enclaves within that wider group. But even the wider group is going to be a victim identity. Maybe unfairly treated in the culture, right? You may look around and say, like, it seems like all these other victim groups get attention but mine, which makes you the super victim group, right? Because nobody cares about you. You're the runt of the pack. You were privileged. This is payback time. Because remember yesterday when you had slaves? Yes, it's payback time. Remember yesterday, when you were controlling everything and you're the only thing that had it going on. Remember yesterday when being white meant that doors opened for you and everything was groovy and you had no struggle whatsoever? Remember yesterday? Well, we're even in the score today. I mean, it's ridiculous. In fact, right quick, Asha Logos had a really good, I guess it's a poem by Longfellow, and it was just dynamite, talking about how you just need to, every group, first of all, this victim identity stuff that you got caught up into is a trap, okay? But part of letting go of that victim identity is letting go of this nonsense of that you're channeling some distant accomplishments from some false identity group, right? Like me taking credit for all of the accomplishments of every person in history who had light skin is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What have I done? That's what's important. What I've done is what's important. Not me channeling back and saying like, oh, wow, Nikola Tesla was white. Yeah, check me out. I mean, it happens in every group. It happens in every group that I see these days. Is what you're gaslighted. You naturally fall into this false victim identity, and then you start taking on the narrative of, hey, our group, yeah, right? We was Kangs. Or whatever the nonsense is, the propaganda of how your group is so great and you should be so proud and you're so victimized that, dang it, we need to do something about it. We need to right the wrongs here. So all of it's wrong. All of it's wrong. This needing this identity, this falling into this trap of victim identity, all of it's wrong. Okay? If you need an identity, find it in the Lord Jesus. Find it in the Lord. That's who you are. You're a child of God. Okay? And if you like the label Christian, maybe you can throw that out there. Or, follower of Christ, whatever makes you feel good. But just make sure that in your heart and that in your mind that you have a clear 100% direct identity with the Lord. You are not some construct of man, like being white. Okay, that's ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot more to you than being white. Can we not? I mean, it's just so retarded. Okay? And I was going to say something about the criminality too of the different groups. I mean, if you're going to channel, and that's what ends up happening is in your mind, you are all of this greatness of your group that's being victimized. Okay, that's you. But to the other groups, you're everything negative going back in history for that group and currently for that group. So if I decide to march around that, dang it, I'm white, then juxtaposed to that is that I'm a white devil. Instantly. Okay? And it works every different way. If you pipe up with your pride and you even in your mind has it figured out that you have righteous indignation, that you have the righteous authority and moral authority to move forward. That's what's happening falsely because of this crap, this victim identity and this false pride. And then everybody else is looking at you as the problem, the thing that needs to be purged. And you're looking at them like they need to be purged. So, can you see how unhealthy this is? Can you see how Jesus, how anti-gospel this is? This anger, this trying to fall into these different traps of identity. It's a road to really bad civil unrest, and I guess that's what they want. I guess that's what Deagle's talking about when they have the population way down in the United States. I don't know what'll happen, but don't be part or party to it. Do not fall into any group trap, any false identity trap. Even the militias, like I was hearing that there's like this push, and this great advice coming from people who know that what we need to do to solve this potential problem with the guns is we need to form militias. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know, because how easy is it for them to call a militia a terrorist, a domestic terrorist operation? They've gone after militias, I don't know how many times before. They've been going after militias, I mean, since I can remember, in the 90s even. So it's real easy for you to be infiltrated. It's real easy for you to be co-opted. It's real easy for you to be led from the beginning by a fake group of militia, is what I'm saying. It could be feds that started up, and then you go join, and then they say, hey, yeah, we're going to go blow some crap up, and you're like, yeah, all right, and then, what happens to you? So don't fall into any of this stuff. It's bad news. It's bad news. I can't recommend joining any militias. I can't recommend, I'm not saying to be silent. I'm not saying to not have a voice, but I think you need to do it individually. And because the group was going to get you in trouble. I think they want to collate people into these things. It's easier to control people in groups than as individuals. All right, so that's my best advice. And it's strange to watch, like, I'm going to use an example. Like, apparently, I'm just going to go off the story, is there was, in New York, they were putting up banners from the UN, I guess at, like, bus stations of the UN's hiring disarmament forces. And it just kind of struck me that if you're walking a dog, if you're out, in public with your dog and he's not on a leash for 5 seconds, you're going to hear public outrage about it, right? But there could be that sign right there, and you probably got people going like, oh, I wonder how much they're paying. Like, it's just weird to me, like, Trump kills the guy with whatever kind of super weapon at the airport in Baghdad, kills a couple dudes, high-ranking Iraqi, high-ranking Iranian people. It would be, it's an act of war. It's, unquestionably, imagine you doing that. Imagine you, like, blow up some people at a airport in Switzerland, and it's like a high-ranking Russian guy, in the military. You think that's going to go over too good? Oh well, it's defensive. Oh well, it's so. I mean, after you're the one provoking, after you're the one providing sanctions, after you're the one making up stories, after you're the one who can't be trusted, all the time lying about yellow cake, and all the time lying about weapons of mass destruction, all the time lying about everything else so that you can be over there doing whatever it is, but you have no credibility anymore, and now you're telling us like, oh, the Iranian nuclear threat. Iran hasn't attacked anyone in like 3 billion years, and it's 3 or 4 billion, but regardless, Iran is not the aggressor. Iran is not the bully, and it's getting ridiculous. And so like I say, like Congress will be like, oh, you mean you made a phone call and then you 5 minutes later took away aid from Ukraine? Oh, oy vey. Oh, you just kill whoever you want and drag the United States into maybe a World War III conflict. It's just I was agreeing that it was Clown World. It's like even worse than Clown World. What's worse than Clown World? Does anybody have a idea of what could be worse than Clown World? It's Insane World. All right, it's been going on long enough. Just don't have victim identity. Lose whatever of that crap is inside of you. I promise you, you need to be a peacemaker. You need to be on the side that is your true identity, which is a child of God. All right, God bless you.